Happy International Clinical Trials Day. I am Maria Milas. I am a former CRA, currently a clinical subject matter expert, and I am the founder of CRA Connect. And I want to thank you for joining me today in this discussion that is so close to my heart. A discussion about a topic that we've all heard and read about so many times. And if you are a CRA or considering this role, I am sure that it even could concern you. Now, the clinical research associate or the monitor's role, as we also know it, is a core role when it comes to the operations and conduct of a clinical trial. But so many times it is overlooked. That's why today we are celebrating the clinical trial internationally, May 20th. And I want to celebrate it by celebrating the CRA, by giving visibility to the challenges of the CRA role. And together, through our conversation, through our discussion today, we contribute to driving this change, a much needed and an overdue change into our industry. So let's empower the CRA community internationally together. And I have a gift for you. Because you're here today, it means that you're passionate about clinical trials and you're passionate about your CRA role. And I want to acknowledge and support that passion of yours with this gift. Now, bear with me just a few minutes into the presentation to learn what this gift from me to you is going to be. But let me start with why today. What do we celebrate on the 20th of May? Well, you might have heard about this sir that you see on the screen, James Lind, who in 1774 started what we consider today the first randomized clinical. And I want to continue by telling you about my first clinical trial experience. Now let me introduce you to a much younger me on the first day of an exciting new role in this industry, a niche that I knew very little about, which is clinical trial. My journey in clinical trials started as a clinical trial assistant at Icon, a well-known CRO, in the Barcelona office after a very quick mention of a teacher that I had in a master's degree I was studying at the. And this first experience was fantastic because it introduced me to the fascinating world of clinical research. I had exposure to the concepts, to all the documentation in clinical trials, to the regulation that I knew very little about before. I can even say that I knew none about it. But as I quickly learned about the existence of the CRA role, I was fascinated by it, and I actually wanted to become a CRA. So I switched from a clinical trial assistant role to a CRA position within the same company at Icon, and I was assigned to observational studies. I was monitoring long-term observational studies, which was a great introduction because, as we know, observational studies require a little bit less frequent monitoring visits, but that meant that I was rarely on site. And I thought, I want to have the experience as a CRA to see from the first hand what's going on my sites. How do they operate? How do they conduct the clinical trial? How does this documentation look in reality? So I changed to a CRA2 opportunity at IQVIA, another one of the main CROs in our industry. And I love the change because it exposed me to different clinical trials, even a different therapeutic area that I never have seen before. So it complemented my knowledge and my experience that I had. However, I landed in a team that had extreme monitoring visit metrics, and that meant that I was performing between 12 to 16 on average monitoring visit days on site per month. That meant I was rarely at home. And because I was already a CRA2, I was considered an experienced CRA. And I felt that I had a bit of a lack of mentorship. And that's why shortly after, I switched to another position, a senior CRA position at Seniors Health, another one of the CRAs that might sound familiar to you. And this time I found a role in a team, a CRA role in a team that had great balance between monitoring visit activities, metrics, and personal lifestyle. However, after 5 years of CRA experience, I thought, well, what else is out there? What can I do next? So I was offered a study manager position, but I kept on wondering, is there something else outside of this path? Even though I started already monitoring more junior CRAs and I saw that also I liked this part of being a more of a lead CRA and mentoring, but I had curiosity. And that curiosity brought me to an important change, which is when I changed industry from clinical operations to the tech industry as a clinical subject matter expert. But most importantly, I would say, it gave me time and space to found the CRA Connect community. And this has been my journey so far, all inspired by my passion for clinical research, for clinical trials, and for the CRA. However, down this road in my journey as a CRA, I saw several CRAs falling into what we now call the CRA burnout. And I must say that I wasn't far from it myself at some point in my journey. And I don't know if you've ever heard that the CRA, 29% of the CRAs experience burnout at some point in their journey. And I would say that that's a quite high number, isn't it? But what are the factors that lead to the CRA burnout? And I would like to discuss them together, a few of them, because there are many, like in any profession. But I would like to pick three of them and to discuss and give visibility into. And many might think it's the high workload, or it's the high monitoring visit metrics, or the high days on site. Well, indeed, for sure, it can be. But like any other job out there from any other industry, when it comes to workload, there are some good practices you can adopt and implement that will help you build boundaries. And it will help you also to take some good practices that will allow you to manage your time and your workload. So, putting together my own experience as a CRA and what I've learned from managing a community of international CRAs, I have learned that the main three factors that lead to CRA burnout are the lack of mentoring, the lack of growth opportunities, and the lack of technology solutions that support the CRA need. And I would like now to go quickly into these three factors in detail, starting with the lack of mentoring. At the very beginning of the journey of a CRA, most CRAs will receive an initial training, usually a 2 to 3 weeks intensive program in which you should learn and you should go through every single task and responsibility of your new role as a CRA. And then you will soon be assigned to manage and monitor your first clinical trial. Now, this clinical trial, the period, the duration of this trial can differ a lot. Maybe you are monitoring a clinical trial that is a 9 months quick. You initiate it, you go through the routine monitoring visits and you close it, done. But it could also be that this clinical trial is a longer term, 42 months clinical trial, which means you are assigned for a longer period of time and exposed to just this one clinical trial. That's why most CRAs are only exposed to a fraction of the knowledge of the expertise or the experience that the CRA role should have. There are so many types of clinical trials with so many therapeutical areas. Did you actually know that there are 49 recognized therapeutical areas in our industry in clinical research? There are several phases, right, in a clinical trial. And within each phase, there's different stages of the clinical trial, and they can all take a prolonged period of time. There's different type of monitoring visits a CRA must perform. And depending on the trial, on the therapeutical area, on the target population, on the geographical area, there's many regulatory nuances that the CRA must learn as well. It can be also that the clinical sites we monitor can be very different from each other. Some will be more specialized in therapeutical areas. Some will have their own specific SOPs that differ from what your company has taught you that the SOPs should be. We can also be assigned to very naive sites, to very research naive sites that require a lot of training and a lot of support from you as a CRA. And some other sites might have huge deviation or serious breaches history, which means that there are no two CRAs here on this call who have the exact same experience. Even if you've been assigned to the same therapeutical area for all your experience, or maybe you will say, oh, but I've always monitored different therapeutic areas. I've always monitored oncology and something else. Yes, but I really doubt that you've ever had the experience of monitoring the 49 therapeutic areas. So no two CRAs out there will have the exact same knowledge and the exact same expertise. And that's exactly why reason number one why I created the CRA Connect community, because I wanted to give all CRAs the chance to access mentorship. Well, how do you access this mentorship? Through accessing the knowledge of other CRAs in the community, through meetups, through discussions, through posts, through conversations that you can have with other CRAs in your own geographical location, but also internationally. In the end, even though the geographical location might differ and there are nuances that are different, the CRA role and our tasks and responsibilities end up being absolutely the same. So we share that. Why not share that with the CRA community? Now, I want to go into the second factor that leads to the CRA burnout, the lack of growth opportunities, or better said, the lack of knowledge, of awareness of what are the possible growth opportunities. I am sure that you've seen or experienced this path, this career path for a CRA. Maybe you started as a clinical trial assistant like me. Maybe you started as a CRA 1 or junior CRA. You ended up doing CRA 2, senior CRA. Maybe you went into lead CRA, maybe directly into study manager. And then what? Or what if I want to jump off this train a little bit sooner? Or what if I want to have experience to something completely different because I'm curious, because I'm passionate, because I want to learn different things? And that's reason number two why I created CRA Connect, this community, international community of CRA. On CRA Connect, CRAs have access to a weekly job board, not only for those CRAs who are interested in changing their current role, but also to keep all CRAs up to date and knowledgeable with the current market offer and demand. We constantly have guest speakers who come into the industry, into the community. Some are members of our community, some are experts from the industry who speak about different roles or different departments or different experiences that we could get after being a CRA. And for example, we have on the 27th of May a study startup event. We also have in June a quality assurance and quality regulatory masterclass if you want to learn about QA as an opportunity. But we also focus on making masterclasses that will teach you all the opportunities that are out there by inviting guests from the industry and having different perspective of different CRAs or different former CRAs who ended up doing a very different thing of what we thought we could be doing. But know this, the development options for a CRA, if you are a senior CRA or if you're a CRA 2 and you want to start thinking what your development looks like, the options and the opportunities are unimaginable. And especially when you actually don't know what the possible options are. And I want to show you two different paths that you could follow if you are looking into developing your career a little bit further. Of course, we can always have roles sitting as a sponsor or at the CRO. These are roles outside of clinical operations where the CRA skills and knowledge are very extremely valuable. For example, the regulatory team, the trial management team, the people management team. Maybe you can be a line manager for CRAs or for clinical trial assistants. There's so many roles within a sponsor or a CRA that once you have the experience, and as a CRA, you've seen the whole journey of a clinical trial, you could access. There's also central monitoring teams that you could look for an opportunity there, or the data management that will absolutely value your skills and knowledge as a CRA. But there's also an outside of this path, the sponsor CRA path. And don't forget how myself, I changed from being a senior CRA into the tech industry. Your skills and experience are very useful in roles, for example, subject matter expert. That's exactly the role I jumped into from being a senior CRA. Your skills and knowledge are also valuable for marketing or sales team or solution consulting or software implementation or project management. And I know that at this point, if you are a CRA and if you've never been exposed to some roles outside of the CRA path or outside of clinical operations, these names and these job titles might sound very intransparent to you. They don't tell you anything. And they told me nothing at all when I was a CRA. But I encourage you, take note of these job titles and have a look. See what tech vendors that develop software that later on the CRAs use on a daily basis in managing and monitoring the clinical trial. What could you do? Where are your skills and where are your knowledge valuable? And you'll find that there's many roles that you could access. And that brings me to factor number 3 that contributes to the CRA burnout. We are constantly introduced to technology solutions that we must use to conduct our tasks and our responsibilities and our activity as a CRA, because we are assigned to a study and we are going to be introduced to an EDC system or to an EPR system or to an e-consent or to a new tool to write your monitoring visit report. But if these tools are not designed to match the CRA needs, they will add an extra burden for us as CRAs. And I want you to consider this scenario. This is a message. Let's say you receive this message from your study manager. I'll give you a few seconds to read. Isn't this such a frequent scenario? We have so much innovation nowadays in all sorts of shapes and colors, from tools that allow us to perform most patient activities remotely. We have wearables that measure data points that we never thought we could even get remotely from patients. But many of these tools forget that all the solutions should match the CRA needs as well. Why is that? Because most likely 90% of these data that we collect in this technology solution will go through the monitoring and the revision of a CRA. And I want to take this opportunity to call out that most solutions we currently have are not designed to meet CRA needs. And we urgently need that, not only to make our lives easier and alleviate some of the burdens of the CRA role, but also that we can focus on what really matters, on monitoring trial. And that will help us speed up our activities, speed up our monitoring, speed up clinical trials, and ensure that what we deliver and the data that we collect is of the highest quality. We are now 20 minutes into the presentation, and I don't want to forget this. At the very beginning, I promised you a very special gift to celebrate such a special day. And you chose your time today, you chose to dedicate your time to this call and to learn about the CRA role and to support the CRA community in giving more visibility to our needs and our challenges. And if you don't know, I have a clinical trial monitoring course for CRAs that takes you through all the essentials of monitoring clinical trials internationally. It's a very concise course with 5 modules covering the entire framework of clinical trials, from history to regulatory aspects to the CRA tasks and responsibilities, to all the monitoring visits that you need to perform, with tips and tricks from my own experience. Now, this course comes with a completion certificate and it is worth 359 euros. And to celebrate this day, I want to empower you. If you are a CRA and you want to learn more, to develop, to grow more, to have more expertise, or if you are someone who wants to access the CRA role, I want to give away 5 of these courses for free. Because I believe that CRAs should have constant training, should have constant mentorship, should have constant access to knowledge that will empower them in their activities as CRAs. I hope that this discussion has brought you awareness of a few of the factors that contribute to the CRA burnout. And I hope that now you know that there is a community of CRAs who can support you in your journey as a CRA. And I also hope that this short, concise discussion has showed you that we care for the CRA role and we want to empower the CRA. And you also need to know that there are many CRAs who have the knowledge that will most gladly share it with you and will support you in your journey as a CRA. Thank you for celebrating this International Clinical Trial Day with me. It's been a special day, and I thank you again. And I hope to see you soon at some other talk. Goodbye.